Hi guys, Tracy here, your Detroit-based political diva, and I hope everybody is staying home and staying safe. After all, the governor's stay-at-home order is still in effect until June the 12th. Governor Whitmer, I don't know if you saw, she sported her buffs for the first time. Interestingly enough, she was gifted a set of buffs a few weeks back, and she respectfully declined them because there's a law that says that you can't accept gifts, from people, from constituents. So she turned them down, but apparently she got her own set of buffs and she wore them after a presser the other day, looked good in them, and, people just went crazy for them. But what people are also going crazy for in the city of Detroit and all across the country, in 30 cities across the United States of America, is the heinous death of George Floyd that occurred on Memorial Day 2020, just hours ago. The gentleman was alleged to have written a hot check in the amount of $20, and for that he lost his life. He was burnt, basically. He was strangled. He was asphyxiated, and it was all captured on camera by a 17-year-old by the name of Darnella. Had it not been for Darnella's quick action, none of us would have been none the wiser. The official word from the police department most likely would have been that he was resisting arrest, and this is what happened. Now, interestingly enough, an autopsy has been conducted. Benjamin Crump is the attorney representing the Floyd family, and Attorney Crump has called for an independent autopsy because the results of the official autopsy from the medical examiner for Hennepin County indicates that asphyxiation was not the cause of death. We all saw the video. The cop had his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and he lost his life as a result. But you also had other police that were standing around, and they did nothing. They did nothing to intervene. Now, they are all former members of the Minnesota Police Department and Minneapolis, Minnesota Police Department, and Chauvin has been arrested. And I think that he only got arrested as a result of a major protest that happened in Minneapolis. And, I really wonder what Prince, the artist, Prince, who's no longer with us, that was his hometown. I wonder what he would think of these events, because he was very progressive and very outspoken, and he was deeply moved by the deaths of Eric Garner and Jamar Clark, I believe. And it's just amazing to me that this stuff, this police brutality, this excessive force is still happening in 2020. I did a stint where I handled police brutality cases, and I actually represented a municipality, a city. And frankly, when it was indefensible, where, was no defense to the actions of the police, we settled. Okay, the case was settled, and I do anticipate that there will be a civil suit filed by Mr. Crump on behalf of the Floyd family, and that suit will be settled. Now, what is of concern and major importance right now is the criminal case against this Derek Chauvin, the rogue cop who kneed Mr. Floyd to death. Now, he's been charged with 2 counts of third-degree murder, which does not require intent, and also manslaughter. Now, if he is convicted of third-degree murder or murder 3, he will serve 20 years in prison. Now, for some people, that's not enough. They're not satisfied with that. We'll see. There might be a change of venue, but wherever this trial happens, I cannot see a jury not convicting this individual. Stranger things have happened, and our criminal justice system is broken, and there are major issues, frankly, with our legal system. I'm an attorney. I've been practicing for almost 20 years, and I have been dissatisfied. I have seen how there are different brands of justice for different people. So everyone will be watching closely, and the other thing that people will be watching closely is, we've actually been experiencing 2 pandemics in this country, a pandemic of coronavirus and a pandemic of, frankly, racism, discrimination, and implicit and explicit bias. So the coronavirus has been with us. It's still here. It's probably going to be cycling for months to come. And just like racism in America, which has been cycling forever and ever, And frankly, I think people have just become so sick and tired of it. If you look at the demographics of the protesters, it's not only black people or people of color out there protesting, but also white people and all manner of ethnicities represented. Now, there's another thing that's going on. There's a concern about the destruction that has accompanied these protests. And I don't like how the narrative is now being changed, where there's this focus on these interlopers, these outsiders allegedly coming in and doing destruction. I mean, frankly, the Precinct 3, where Chauvin and the other 3 cops worked, doesn't exist anymore. It got burned. It's not to the ground, but it looks like something out of a war zone. Well, is it Antifa that's coming in? Is it white supremacy groups, militia groups that are coming in and exploiting the situation to destroy black cities? I don't know. I mean, I do think that people are upset. And frankly, you know, I sit here in Detroit. I wasn't around during the 67 riots, but I heard all about it. My folks telling me about how tanks were rolling down the streets, and, you know, they moved right off of 12th Street, you know, right after the riots on Boston Boulevard. And it looked like a war zone afterwards. And why did that happen? Because people were upset about the Big Four. They were upset about stress. In fact, that's how our former mayor, late Mayor Coleman Young, was elected, because he said he was going to get rid of stress. He was going to get rid of the Big Four. And he vowed to integrate the police and the fire departments, because formerly you had basically all white police and fire departments, you know, working in a majority black city. So Coleman Young got elected. He did integrate the police and fire departments, and things got better. Now, speaking of the police department, we had a protest right here in Detroit last night, and one person unfortunately lost his life in a drive-by shooting. I saw most of the video. I thought the Free Press reporter, I think her name is Mandy, couldn't catch her last name, did a great job of actually catching what was happening on the other side of the police line, where the protesters actually were. And you know, people are upset, but a lot of you look at the demographics, people that were protesting, I mean, listen, I don't know where they come from, but there were a lot of people that perhaps maybe did not reside in the city of Detroit that were there. Of course, you know, these incidents, it cause people to act, to jump out there in a protest, and they get upset. So I don't know where they came from, but some people were applauding the Detroit Police Department for their actions, and others were not. I don't really know what to say. I really didn't like the banging of the shields. You know, what was that about, you know? But at any rate, I do think that these protests are going to continue, and they're going to be cycling through the country just like this coronavirus is cycling through. We are fighting wars on 2 fronts: the pandemic of the coronavirus and the pandemic of racism, discrimination, implicit and explicit bias, and something needs to be done in the United States of America. I want to take this opportunity to tell you and remind you about a special that I have coming up. I will be moderating a voting rights special where my honored guest is going to be the Honorable Kamisha D. Gant of 6th Judicial Circuit Court out of Oakland County, and we're going to be talking about voting rights, how to register to vote, how to apply for an absentee ballot so you can vote by mail, and the all-important action of flipping over a ballot and voting for the all-important judicial races. So my time is almost up, but this special is going to happen on Saturday, June 20th. 2020 at 12 noon. I do hope you can join us. And in the meantime, everybody stay safe from the virus and stay safe from police brutality and excessive force. And get your cameras out, folks, like young Darnella did, and record this stuff and put it out there so that we can begin to stop these heinous acts against Black and brown people in the United States of America. All right, everybody. Again, stay safe. Tracy, your political diva, out.